In the military world, in this video, we will discuss the highly complex and obviously dangerous mission of designing, testing, and producing nuclear weapons. With nuclear tests banned, how do the United States manage this? Before we talk about the advanced and highly secretive laboratories that today develop and maintain the United States nuclear arsenal, it's crucial to take a step back in history to understand how these weapons came about. And how have they evolved over the decades? It was in the 1940s, during World War II, that the first atomic bomb was born. At that time, Germany was seen as a major technological power, developing weapons that to the Allies seemed to come out of a science fiction book. And therefore, the United States, fearing that the Germans would use all this technological advancement to develop atomic weapons, dedicated great effort and money to the Manhattan Project, bringing together some of the world's greatest scientists. What the United States did not know at the time was that Germany was far behind in the development of atomic weapons, precisely because many of the greatest nuclear scientists of the time were Jewish and fled to the United States in the late 1930s. Without talented scientists in this area, the Germans tried but made little progress. The United States, with money and brains at their disposal, built giant facilities such as in Los Alamos, New Mexico, where they developed not just one but two fission bombs with very different methods and fuels. The first was dropped on Hiroshima, a uranium bomb that employed a relatively simple and practical gun-type detonation mechanism. The second on Nagasaki, using plutonium as fuel with a highly complex implosion detonation method. The impact of these explosions was devastating in every way, actively contributing to Japan's decision to unconditionally surrender. Since then, the world has entered a new era, the nuclear age, an era marked by the production of tens of thousands of nuclear warheads and thousands of tests. But with the United States banning tests since the 1990s, an important question arises. How do the Americans develop their bombs? And how do they ensure that those already produced and stockpiled are in perfect operational condition? The answer lies in the heart of California, at the so-called knife, the location where experiments lasting only a few billionths of a second are carried out. But what happens in this brief interval is simply monumental, with hundreds of laser beams totaling an impressive 500 trillion watts, converging in a chamber to strike a small gold cylinder containing a tiny diamond sphere filled with deuterium and tritium, two heavy isotopes of hydrogen. When struck, the sphere undergoes an internal collapse with a shock wave reaching 300,000 kilometers per hour. The pressure generated is so intense that the atoms fuse, releasing a colossal amount of energy. And that's how the United States simulates nuclear explosions without actually detonating them. But how do they ensure the stockpiled warheads remain reliable? The answer was a new research model involving the NEF, with its powerful laser, and El Capitan, the world's fastest supercomputer. With these two tools becoming the nerve center of the mission to renew existing weapons, and more recently, design new and more advanced warheads, something that hasn't been done in the United States since the 1980s. The Lawrence Livermore National Laboratory in California was founded in the 1950s to compete with Los Alamos, New Mexico, with the two institutions being rivals and collaborators at the same time. In parallel, the Sandia Laboratory handles the integration of non-nuclear components into the warheads such as sensors, batteries, and detonators. Together, these three laboratories gather tens of thousands of scientists and engineers, forming the backbone of the United States nuclear weapons program. One of the great historical milestones was the development of thermonuclear weapons, more powerful than the fission bombs of the Manhattan Project. This generation of bombs based on the fusion of atoms required two stages. First, a fission explosion to generate the heat and pressure to initiate the fusion process. And it was through Livermore's work that the Polaris missile emerged, compact enough to fit in submarines, thereby revolutionizing nuclear deterrence, making warheads more transportable and effective. Although they have never been used in combat, thousands of warheads are still stockpiled, and time is relentless with them. Radioactive materials degrade, steel rusts, and polymers wear out. For this reason, the weapons undergo regular inspections, being completely dismantled and examined thoroughly from time to time. The NIF simulates the extreme effects of a nuclear explosion on microscopic samples, while at Sandia Laboratory, the Z machine creates similar effects, but employing powerful electromagnetic fields. And at Los Alamos, the birthplace of the American atomic bomb, conventional explosives are used to test non-nuclear components. But the advances don't stop there, with the El Capitan supercomputer installed at Livermore, becoming the most powerful computer in operation today in the world. With this processing power, it is possible to run highly detailed, three-dimensional simulations, and what previously required the detonation of dozens of warheads or month-long computational processing now can be done hundreds of times a day. El Capitan's secret lies in the so-called APUs, accelerated processing units, which combine CPU and GPU in the same chip. This gives the supercomputer a tremendous advantage over competitors with greater raw power, but built on a less integrated architecture. In Los Alamos, the power of El Capitan is being used to design the W-93, the first new warhead developed since the 1980s in the United States. It will be mounted on ballistic missiles of the new Columbia-class submarines of the American Navy, and everything is being done via simulation, as the tests remain prohibited. According to Los Alamos director Tom Mason, the world is entering the fourth era of nuclear weapons. The first was the creation of the bombs in the 1940s. The second was the arms race during the Cold War, when Soviets and Americans produced tens of thousands of warheads. The third came with the fall of the Soviet Union, when many imagined that the nuclear age was ending. And now, with the collapse of control treaties, nuclear threats from Russia, Chinese and North Korean expansion, and tensions between India, Pakistan, and Iran, nuclear deterrence has returned to be central to the United States strategy. Despite the focus on armaments, the laboratories also have civilian ambitions. And indeed, the NIF was the first place in the world to achieve fusion ignition, releasing more energy than it consumed. Although there is still much to be done to make this technology viable as an energy source, scientists believe there are no more scientific barriers, only engineering challenges that will be overcome over the coming years. For the scientists and engineers working in these laboratories, the greatest success would be never to see these weapons used. As said by the director of Los Alamos, if the bombs we designed are never detonated, then we will have fulfilled our mission. And if you're still not subscribed to the channel, subscribe.